Hello, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. I'm Jono. I'm head of marketing here at Learning People. It's really great to have you with us here today. We're going to be talking to one of our students about their experience with Learning People and how they've made a career switch from being a chef to an IT professional. So Rahul is here to talk to us about that. We've got lots of questions that you've already sent us to get through. To talk about careers in general, and particularly focusing on moving into the IT world where the demand is absolutely massive. I'll just start by saying I've been at Learning People for about 10.5 years now, which is obviously it's a long time, and we've just had exponential growth all around the world within those 10.5 years. I'm based in the UK, and we have homes in obviously in New Zealand, in Australia, and in Ireland as well. We have over 40,000 students around the world. I want to pass over to Tim. He's going to give us a bit more of an overview of Learning People.
Well, thanks, John. Hi, everyone. So my name's Tim. I'm one of the team managers here, and I'm based in our New Zealand office in Christchurch. So we focus very heavily on career-ready and more skills-based certifications. So international certs, which we'll hear about more shortly. And a big focus with us is obviously the training, but also the process of helping someone with making that career change. So we have teams of career consultants, which are your first point of contact. And then we also have what's called our student care team. So their focus is supporting someone throughout the study, things like exam bookings, study plans, keeping in touch. And then we also have our career services team, which you'll hear about more shortly, who focus more on helping someone with that final step, which is making that transition into employment. So training's obviously one part, but it's just about more of a wider focus for us. And we'll hear a little bit more about that today, which is cool.
Perfect. Thanks, Tim. And that's a perfect segue for Tabby to tell us about career services.
Yes, hi everyone. So I am Tabitha. I'm in our career services team here in Christchurch. We have 3 here in Christchurch and then another 2 based in the Brisbane office. So yeah, we are basically a team of ex-agency recruiters, and we're here to, as Tim said, just support you with anything to do with your job search. We do have a pretty thorough process. It's run out over 3 phases. So we'll always start off with a CV consult. That can be quite hard to do when you're changing careers and you're not sure what the market demands. So we just help you get that tailored to exactly what they are looking for. Same thing with your LinkedIn profile. We do a full consult on that, just make sure that's looking really good. And then phase 2 is all about the networking side of things. So that's when you're actually applying for the roles, and we'll basically just ensure that you are going to stand out, you're marketable to the right people, and actually using LinkedIn properly. And then phase 3 is for when you are interviewing. We'll do full interview preparation. There's a lot of behavioural based interview things these days, and they are quite hard to answer when you're not prepared. So we just make sure you know what to expect. You're not going to stumble, everything like that. And then once you're at the offer stage, we help out with, multiple offers, contract negotiations, salary negotiation, just pretty much anything around that job search. You'll have support from a one-on-one consultant. So yeah.
Great, thanks, Tabby. And I would like to reiterate the fact of how important career services is. I'm sure Rahul will talk about that as well. But we do have a 97% employment success rate. So once you start studying with us and you start working with the career services team, within a relatively short amount of time, we will get you to start looking into the job world, and then to study alongside searching for jobs as well. So it's a very high stat that we're very proud of. So you all might be here for different reasons, but you're probably at different stages of researching. But what you are here for, I guess, is to learn a little bit more about Learning People and a little bit more about the IT industry in general. You probably want to learn some new skills, maybe career change, maybe progress in your current career, and ultimately earn a little bit more money as well. And that's what we're here for. So we're going to talk to Rahul, who has been a student with us, who's made his career change from a chef into an IT professional. You might have seen him on the website. Some great pictures of him as well. Rahul, thanks so much for joining us. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I was just looking forward for this webinar in the evening.
Great.
I was working from home today. Yeah.
We're working from home today. We'll come on to that in terms of what work is, but we've been really looking forward to it as well, because for me personally, it's obviously I work in marketing and market obviously our services to meet the students and understand their journey and how we've helped and supported our students is so important. Just as well, if you do have any more questions, anyone on the webinar, don't be afraid to put them in the chat as well, and we'll come on to those very, very shortly. So Rahul, let's start at the beginning. Why did you want to get certified in the first place?
Actually, to be honest, that I have no idea that there's such kind of a thing, learning people, in which I can get certification. It was a normal day. I was working in the kitchen last year, or last year in 2022, when one of the team member from Learning People Christchurch called me. Her name was Penny. I think she's not anymore in the Christchurch branch. She probably would have moved to Australia. So she called me and she said that like, I'm calling from Learning People, and would you like to switch your career? We had that kind of a discussion for an hour, for roughly 45 minutes. I think I accidentally liked or something on the social media, because when she mentioned me that I'm from Learning People, I had to ask her again that from where you are, and she again repeated that Learning People, and said, okay, that's fine. And then we continued that chat for 45 minutes, and then she explained that, like, these are the things, these are the courses we offer. And initially I thought that, I don't know whether is it a legitimate institute or it's just like a scam call, to be honest. So I requested her that I would like to see you in person in your office, so that I can get a little bit more confidence that, okay, there is actually an institute which is from where she is calling. And when you see the person or the institute personally, then I think it will be a different. You feel differently. You feel more confident about it, and that's how it's began actually.
It's always great when you meet someone face to face as well, and see where they're working. And that, I mean, that's a great story into it. But in terms of what you were doing before, you were cooking. Did you have a thought or an epiphany that you wanted to change career and move into something different at any point, but you weren't sure what?
Actually, when because I was came into New Zealand in a student visa, so I think around, like, when I was here for like 3 or 4 years, then I wanted to switch my career. That was a year, I think, in 2017 or 18, and I tried myself at that time. I couldn't achieve what I wanted. Actually, I couldn't successfully switch my career, so I stayed in hospitality. Pretty much gave up my hopes that there's no possibility that I'm going to switch my career. I thought that, because eventually I became head chef when I resigned from that position. So I started managing the whole restaurant and become an operational manager as well. So yeah, actually, a couple of years ago, I have given up all my hopes of switching my career into IT. And then when the Learning People called me, Penny, she said that there is a chance of switching your career, and then I thought that why not try it and see if it works. Yeah, I was very nervous even when I met her in person in Christchurch branch. I said that, I asked her a couple of times that, is it possible that, and she said that yes, people do actually switch careers at this age or at this stage of the life, when you have already spent significant amount of years in one profession, and then with zero experience, how it's going to be possible. And she said, no, it is possible. So yeah, that's how it begins.
And so, and obviously, being a head chef at a very senior position as well, it does make that career transition all the more scary, because you're at an extremely high level. How did you did you work whilst you were studying, or did you completely stop the hospitality work to concentrate on your training?
Well, initially, when I took the course, I quit my job, and then I started working part-time in a small cafe. It was a vegan cafe. So, but after 1.5 months, I couldn't cope up with my studies, so I have to quit that job as well, and then just focus on the studies. And my course was supposed to finish in October or November last year, but I got into a job in April. I think in April last year, I had my contract. So I think after taking the course, I only had to study full time without working for around 1.5 or 2 months. Yeah, I only did my first certification, and luckily I ended up into an IT job.
Yeah, so let's talk about finding your role that you did. Can you remember when you started your training, when you started working with the career services team? How far into your studies?
How much I have finished my studies when I first contacted a career service? That's what you mean to say?
Yeah, so you were completing your studies and you made contact with the career services team. Can you remember how far into your training that you reached out to career services, or was that straight away?
I think when I just finished the cybersecurity course was of 4 certifications: network plus, and then security plus, and then 2 more, pen test and another one. So when I finished my first certification, I think I contacted the career service and just want to an overview of how the things works. And then I think Rachel was helping me out, and then she said that you can start applying jobs now if you want. But when I went for my enrollment in Christchurch branch, they said that normally people start applying after 2 certifications, which is security plus after so in my head it was like that I'm gonna do it after security plus. But Rachel just said that you can give it a shot and just start applying now. So, and she prepared my CV and gave me some more documents of how to not sorry documents afterwards. So I started applying with that CV, and then I got a couple of calls for interview, and then again contacted Rachel, and she said that here are the few documents she gave me, and she said that you can go through these ones and prepare yourself for interview. Yeah.
And then so that's a relatively short time into your training.
Yes.
And yeah, which is fantastic. So did you know that there was lots of demand out there, or were you quite hesitant about applying at this time? Did you think it was too soon?
Yes, I thought it's too soon. I didn't have any high hopes that I'm gonna get a job. I thought that I have to finish my security plus and then I will get the job. So in my head, I was discussing with my wife when I was studying that we both estimated that I might get into a job around October or maybe in September, around when I will be studying around 7 to 8 months and will be about to finish my course. So that was a kind of a projection in my head that I might ended up at that point. But I ended up the job in April, a few months earlier. So yeah.
And what was the typical response like from the people that you reached out to? Was it positive? Did you have a lot of people replying to your applications?
At that stage when I applied, I got three interviews.
3 interviews, great.
Yeah, 3 interviews. One from Datacom, which was from Australia, and one which I'm doing at the moment, the job which I'm in, and another one was a different one. Yeah. So I had 3 job interviews when I applied in that one.
Which is a fantastic return. Let's talk about your current job then, Rahul. Can you tell us where it is you're working now, and what do you do?
I'm a network engineer actually. I work in a research and development center. The company is a Japanese multinational company which makes switches, routers, and all the network devices. So we do all the testing and all kind of things over there. So yeah, it's a pretty relaxed job compared to my old job, the chefing job. Yeah.
And do you go into the office every day, or can you work remotely?
Work from home. You can work from home, as if you are a little bit sick, you can work from home. And certain days you can work from home. Like today, I was working from home. Or if you're traveling, like for example, last year I went to India, and then they said that you can work from home as well or from overseas. If you are going for a long period of holidays, you can work from home there as well. Yeah.
Which is always a great perk. And so just in terms of a day-to-day role, what were some of the things, for instance, that you've been working on today?
In my job, yeah, it's morely on the network side, actually, making the network scenarios and having different products coming in the line and working on different projects. And yeah, so it's basically it's like it's a R&D center, so they do some research and development on certain products, and then we check it whether all the protocols, everything is working. So getting into the device, actually working on all layers of the devices, and try to simulate the device into a real world scenario and see how it works, how it handles the data, how it processes it. And yeah, it's more like, how can I explain it? It's just more like a research kind of a job. Yeah.
More of a research kind of job. And it's
So yeah, it's not a customer facing job, I have to say. It's we have 150 engineers there, and there's pretty much no customer. So there's no formal dress code, so you can go in a casual, in shorts or whatever. So it's pretty relaxed environment. Yeah.
I'm all for that. I'm all for that. And in terms of, so there's 150 engineers that work there. Do you work with each other to try and understand if there's a challenge, or do you have a fixed time to try and understand something yourself?
No, it's pretty open in environment. So if you're stuck with something, you ask a senior and they help you out. Yeah. So 150 engineers, it's divided into 3 sections. One is hardware team, which builds the hardware. One is software team. Another is network team, which tests every network devices. And if there's any bugs or errors, they send it back to the development and retest again. Something like that. Yeah.
Okay, and how do you feel now? Now you're in your role and you've transitioned your career, you've done your training. Are you happy?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I'm at the moment I'm at graduate level, so I'm looking forward to having my title change next year, because they said that after 1 year you will switch, you will be this type of that graduate word from your title, and then of course there will be a pay rise as well.
In terms of the learning people experience, how did you rate the experience? What was your favorite bit? Was it the practice labs that you would use, or the career services team and student care? Was there a specific standout area for you?
I think the career service is the one, because in the study, if you stuck something, you can just Google it and find some more resources and read an ebook and if you don't get a clarity while studying online. But when it comes to the interviews or preparing or getting selected even for an interview, that's the most crucial part, actually. And my career consultant was amazing. Like, she helped. She was, I still remember her. Like, she was not there, I won't see myself into this successful switchover career. Yeah. So yeah, I think I always talk, even with my wife, I always talk about Rachel. She helped me a lot. So I think the career service is definitely the one which outstands out in whole of the learning people experience.
And you're not the first person to say that, Rahul, as well. Our career services team is second to none, and I think it's one of the areas that obviously that puts us sets us completely different to any other training provider that are out there, because we do have that 97% employment success rate. This chat is absolutely fascinating, and it's great to hear how quickly things have moved for you in your career, from where you were to studying, applying for roles before you were probably mentally prepared to do so, and getting 3 interviews straight away. And your role now sounds fantastic, and a really good place to carry on learning your trade and stepping up to the next level as well. We've had quite a few questions coming in as well, which we'll get to. So we'll bring in Tabby and Tim, and we'll just start answering some of the questions that have been sent in already, if that's all right. And Rahul, if you would like to answer as well, that would be fantastic. So the first one, Tim, this is for you, from Lisa, who says, what transferable skills should I have if I want to make a career change into cyber? Maybe if we could say cyber and also IT in general as well.
That's a really good question, and it's a question that we definitely get very regularly as well. I guess a couple of the main ones would be communication and problem solving for a start. IT obviously and cyber in general is an area where, yes, you have the technical component, but there's also the people component to what you're doing in employment. So being able to communicate well, being able to solve problems, and also work within teams, and also within time-sensitive environments. So if you think about Rahul working within hospo, like it's a pretty flat-out area. That is really helpful in terms of someone moving into work. So a lot of students will inquire with us and are unsure as to sort of how they can make that transition. The technical skills comes from the training, and then the transferable skills will come from what someone has done in previous employment, or volunteering, or other sort of experiences. So it's just about having that combination. But those would be the main sorts of ones that would be really helpful for moving into cybersecurity.
And Tim, Ria's asked a question on the chat. How do we ensure that students are well informed to go into the right field of IT? So obviously Rahul's gone into networking. How do we consult with students to make sure they're on the right course?
A good question. Thanks, Ria. So the first step of the process when a student inquires with us is to go through a consultation. So we have teams of career consultants, so here in Christchurch, in Brisbane, and then in the UK as well. And their role is to really learn about your background, what interests you, and what sort of transferable skills you have. So their job is to take you through the options that are available and help you feel a little bit more comfortable with what you're looking at doing. Most students have a fair idea about what they are wanting to actually look into when they inquire, but some people need a little bit more advice and a little bit more information, and that's why everything is really tailored to what you need as an individual student, really.
And a couple more comments on the chat. Ankit says, Rahul, I'd really like to connect with you. Is there a place, is it maybe LinkedIn, if people could connect with you? Would that be okay?
Is that a question for me? Yeah, I think, yes. Yeah. I think it's fine. Sometimes it's fine. I don't get much time to look in the LinkedIn, but yeah, I think it's fine.
Okay, perfect. So LinkedIn is the place if you'd like to connect with Rahul as well.
Yeah.
And also, Tim, Ria's asked about our level of certifications. Could you give an overview of kind of the level? She's specifically asking about, is it a bachelor or diploma? Obviously, we only offer the world's leading and accredited certifications. Do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's another question that we get quite a bit as well. So the training we provide is international training. So you would cover the same content, you would sit the same exam, and you would gain the same certification as someone all around the world. I think that answers another one of the questions from Philip there in the Q&A. So that's the key thing. A good way to think about a degree or a diploma or a bachelor is really good, but they are slightly different depending on where you study. So a good way to think about with the international vendor certifications is it is exactly the same all around the world. So you can work remotely, you can travel, and they hold the same value everywhere. So that's what we focus on. It's very aligned with what the recruitment market is looking for. And so that's sort of been our focus forever, really. Hope that answers that.
Yeah, I think it does, absolutely. Sarah's asked a question. This one's for Tabby. I've been out of the job market for 5 years to look after my family. Would I be able to get a role in cybersecurity with such a gap?
Yeah, definitely. I think gaps on a CV are common, for whatever reason. Life goes, life happens. Starting a family is definitely a very common reason, but sometimes people take time off to travel, change careers. Like there's so many reasons why you would have a gap. But it doesn't matter as long as you outline that in the correct way. So we would help you with that on the CV. And our goal, I guess, is just to answer any questions before they would even be a problem. So we want the employer to be reading it with no questions in their mind, as to what you might have been doing, because you want to get to the interview. And so just very seamless. So we help out with that. Training is a really good answer to a gap as well, because say you've taken 5 years off, raised a family, you can then put on your CV, I've done CompTIA Network Plus certification, and the date. And then it basically just shows the employer that you're someone who's really motivated, like you've taken the time to go and upskill to get into this new industry. So it is a really good look and shows like very good qualities of someone, I think, especially the fact you're self-funding it to then start in a new industry. So we definitely make that a big reason why you might have a gap, but yeah, it shouldn't be an issue as long as you tackle it the right way.
And I think that answers the question. Nisha, hi to you, who's asked the question. Nisha's done an MTech in CSC in India, as well as a BTech in IT, and 4 certs in cybersecurity from TAFE in Brisbane. How can I start in Brisbane without experience?
I can answer that. So yeah, I think I need to speak with you and sort of see your CV and everything like that. You definitely don't need to have the experience in a role, but it may just be that the IT degrees that you've got are really great. But I think if you've got a industry certification, that's just basically validating, everything the employer will want you to know. Because the issue is within Australia, they may not know exactly what you've been taught in that degree. And then, again, with TAFE, great knowledge, sort of background knowledge, but I think it's more theory based. So I think the style in which you're going to train doing an industry certification, it's very practical. You're going on live labs, so you are gaining the actual, the practical skills. But yeah, and then obviously that support from career services, like Rahul was saying, to actually then go and get into the job market, because that can be the hardest part, as we all know. So you'd also have that support.
Thanks, Tabby. So another one for you, Tim, from Maddie, which we have kind of discussed already, talking about getting into a career without a degree and without the experience. And Maddie's asked, how many certifications are needed to get employed? Is there a specific number, or is this, obviously we design our courses and course pathways for specific careers? Do you want to give an overview on it?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a little bit of a tricky one depending on sort of what work someone's wanting to go into. Rahul, for an example, obviously started applying after the Network Plus. Normally your Network Plus and Security Plus is a really good starting point to move into those networking and security roles. But there are other certifications as well, like the CISA Plus from CompTIA or the CCNA, that are really helpful as well. But it's all tailored really to what is going to work for an individual in their situation. We have students that are perhaps looking at wanting to move into work a little bit faster, and then we have others that are happy to take their time. So that's all part of the initial consult call and figuring out what's going to work best from a student perspective, but then also for us at the Learning People to help with that process of moving into work. But I would say, your Network Plus is where you can start applying, and your Security Plus as well.
Great. There's also a lot of love for Rachel on this chat. Rachel Gilmore, who from Career Services, who worked with Rahul. Rachel is fantastic. So thanks for that message, Chris. Tabby, last question for you comes from Ben. What type of entry-level positions are there in cybersecurity and IT, and what does the career ladder look like?
Yeah, cool. So sort of touched on some entry-level roles, but I guess you're typically looking at if you're going to go into cyber, it'll be a cybersecurity analyst or SOC analyst. As Rahul said, though, he's in network engineering, can definitely go down that route. We have had students join big grad programs where they kind of get some experience in multiple different departments and then choose. We've had students go into consulting roles, cybersecurity sales. I think that's the thing with this. A lot of people think it's very specific, but it is a very broad industry, which is cool because there's just more opportunity. Once you've had a bit of experience, I guess the ladder would typically look like second year, maybe going into some sort of penetration testing role or ethical hacking. We do have people going into like a security engineer or architect role. From there, you're looking at cybersecurity management, auditing, risk and compliance. The list goes on, but the salaries also get higher and higher as you go up that list. But I would definitely recommend, you're not going to know what you enjoy until you're doing it. So we always say, do your first year, you'll very quickly understand what you're enjoying, or even after 2 years, and then you can decide. It doesn't have to be a decision made straight away. It's just kind of as you're going, and as companies are hopefully offering you new jobs, you can make those choices later on as well.
Thanks, Tabby. I just want to make sure that we get through all of the questions on the Q&A. So thanks for everyone that sent them in. You just touched there on high salaries, Tabby. So John says, what's the normal graduate pay for roles in IT?
Yeah, so I think it depends what kind of role you get. If you're going to get a cybersecurity analyst role, which with these certs you can, you're looking at sort of 70 to 90. From there, it goes up pretty quickly, you know, penetration testing, ethical hacking, 120 plus. But yeah, you should be aiming for around that 70 to 90. There's always outliers, you know, if you're doing a more help desk role, could be below that. Or like I've had students go on to 110 for their first role. It really depends. But as a rule of thumb, we would say 70 to 90.
And one for Tim. So Philip, which we've touched on this as well in terms of our certifications and what we offer. Philip's just said, will certifications be recognised overseas?
Absolutely, yeah. So they absolutely will be, Philip, which is good. So yeah, because it's the same everywhere, you would sit the same exam as someone in the US or the UK. Or anywhere else in the world. So yeah, because it's standardized, it means if you are looking at travel in the future or you're wanting to perhaps work remotely, you do have that option available for you, because a recruiter in London understands the value like a recruiter in Sydney. So yeah, to answer that, yes, they will be.
Perfect. And Surendra, thanks for your question as well, who's asked, so it's a question around experience, who has experience in IT, and wants to know what kind of courses are required in terms of, do I need CCNA, do I need CCIE? So I think the best thing which we've touched on is, if you're unsure, you have some experience, which is fantastic, or you don't have any experience at all and you want to completely career change, make sure you have a career consultation. That's what they're for, and we can really understand your personal needs, because everyone is different, and we can understand what is the right pathway for you. And it might take half an hour or so. So be prepared for that, to have some time out of your day and just really have a thorough consultation call. That's the best way forward, I would say. Rahul, conscious of time, and you've been working all day as well, I just want to ask one final question. So with your experience with the learning people, and now you're in a fantastic position, was it all worth the investment?
Yeah, I think it was worth the investment. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Has anyone else got any other questions or comments before we close down the webinar? And as I say, have a think about everything today, and then if you're unsure of stuff, or you want to speak to a career consultant, then get straight on the phone to us tomorrow. It'll be great to speak to you all. Tim, Tabby, anything else? Great. Rahul, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I'm sure you've inspired people on this webinar, and also many future people as well, because we do send these out and have them online. So thank you so much, and congratulations in how quickly everything's going. Do please keep in touch with us as well, and let us know how your career pathway and your journey is going as well.
Thank you.
All right. We'll say goodbye then. Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks to Jacinth for organising this webinar as well. Have a great evening, and we look forward to speaking to you soon.